Hello and welcome. We are going to be talking about some very important things today regarding learning how we put together scales, things like that. You might see that right now. I am currently in a luxurious hotel. But I'm not sure how much I'll actually push that a luxurious part. But I am in fact in a hotel at a conference right now. If I decide to show this later, I might be there in class, but for what this is intended for, I may not be. So either way, we're going to be learning a little bit about scales and how we put those together. So if you have not already, go to the front of the room where there should be a stack of papers. They may be divided up in threes, or maybe just one stack where they're all like put like one top of each other. There should be three different papers that you should have there. Um, I'll be at the front of the room. Make sure you go get that. I'll give you some time to do that. Still listening though. So you should only have those three papers, and they should be labeled clock. So you should see that up here. It should say clock right up here. You should have one that says circle of fourths. That's right here. We'll talk about all these in a second. And then you should have a paper that kind of looks like this. 1 through 15, this is your assignment page. We'll get to that in a minute. So don't start on that right now. Let's go through the information and you'll see how to properly complete that. Because it looks like a lot, but in reality, it's not that hard once we start talking about how you do that. All right. While you're up, make sure that you do have a pencil, pen, any kind of writing utensil because you are going to need that to write some things down as well. So make sure you do that. If you don't, there should be some at the front. Ask some friends, but make sure that you do have something to write with. All right, so now that we have all that out of the way, you have all your stuff, everything's going fine, awesome. With these papers, we'll be learning about different keys and scales that we as musicians will hopefully work with as we grow a little bit older and start working with these more. Hopefully, when you're done, you will have a better understanding of how these work. Like I said, it's kind of easy how they're put together, but if you don't know all the tips and tricks on how to get there, then it might take some time. So let's go through those tips and tricks. So let's start by taking a look at our clock here. This is your first handout that you should have. You'll see on here, if you follow my cursor here, it's shaped just like a clock, right? Just circular, has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Um, and if you compare this 12 here to a keyboard in one octave, so just all the notes in here, you'll see that there are 12 keys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. So you'll notice that we have 12 keys there, and we have 12 numbers here, just like a clock. Completely coincidental, probably. I didn't found music, so can't tell you that, but coincidental there. So the notes that we have here that kind of correlate to these numbers. Now, don't worry too much about these numbers. This will just kind of tell you where on the clock they are. These don't really have too much of a correlation right now. So C, F, B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, C sharp, G flat, F sharp, C flat, B, E, A, D, and G. All right, so you may be thinking, why are they in this order? That's a strange way to order the notes there, right? Super strange. Um, but we'll kind of go over some information why they are in that order, and it'll make a little bit of sense. But in short, they are the same distance apart and do not repeat any notes until they get back to C. So you notice that all the way around here, none of these notes are the same. Whether they have flats in them or sharps or nothing, none of them repeat until you get all the way back around the circle. And there's a reason for that, and we'll get to that in a second. So let's compare this clock to your circle of fourths document. It should look almost exactly the same. Clock, circle of fourths. One should just say circle of fourths at the top here. You'll notice that all the letters, all the notes, they are in the same order, right? All right, so since we already learned that, that's fine. You already know those are all in that order. You don't know why yet, but they are in that order. If you look on the inside, you'll see these symbols, flats, and these symbols, sharps. So if you go around this way, you'll see flats. On this way, you'll see sharps, kind of until you get to the bottom mess here, and we'll talk a little bit about that. But you'll see that they kind of go in order here. 1 flat, 2 flat, 3 flats, 4 flats, 5 flats, 6 flats, 7 flats. Or if you go in the other direction, 1 sharp, 2 sharps, 3 sharps, 4 sharps, 5 sharps, 6 sharps, and 7 sharps, right? So they're all in order just to make it a little bit easier. And it also makes sense for why they're in this order too, but like I said, we'll get there. So what are the sharps and flats for? Are they just there just for the look nice to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7? Yes, we know how to count, so there's that. But what are they actually there for? Well, that's going to be for our scales. It'll be helpful when we're actually like looking at our scales and all that good stuff. So let's talk a little bit about that. So the scale that we all know how to play is our concert B flat scale, right? B flat, C, D, E flat, F, G, A, and B flat. If you notice, just like the paper says, there are 2 different flats in there. I said B flat and E flat. Look at your circle of fourths. There's 2 flats there. Whoa, crazy how that works. And it'll be the same all the way around here. So how do you know what flats to use or sharps for different scales? Because I just said B flat and E flat. What does that even mean? Where did I get those notes from? Well, it's a good thing you asked, or rather, I asked, because we have just a thing for that. This is where you are going to need your writing utensil, most importantly. So have that ready, and you're going to write it right on this paper. We have 2 different words here to describe that. We have our oof and our oos. Our oof is our order of flats. O-O-F, oof. Alright, this will be the order of flats that we have in there every time. And for our oos, our order of sharps, O-O-S, funny thing, it's actually just the order of flats but backwards. So B-E-A-D-G-C-F. If you read that backwards, F-C-G-D-A-E-B. It'll be the same going forwards for this. So the order of flats backwards is the order of sharps going forwards. Same in the reverse as well. So just remember that order there. You can remember it with bead, like the word bead, then greatest common factor. That's how you can kind of divide those there. That's how I like to remember it. If you have your own creative way of remembering that, by all means, do that too. That's just the one I am providing with you. So that's how you know what order. So you will have your order of flats and your order of sharps, and that will help you along. So make sure you have that along with your circle of fourths, and we'll go through that kind of together here in just a second. So let's go back and look at our circle of fourths while you're looking at your oof and your oos. If we look at B flat, just like we were talking about earlier, we'll see 2 flats. And if we're looking at our oof, our order of flats, so remember flats go with the oof, then you'll see that the first 2 are B and E, right? That means those 2 notes are going to be flat. So that's why we don't say B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B. We say B flat, C, D, E flat, F, G, A, B flat. And that can go for any of these other scales too. Let's take a look if we went to the other side, okay? Look over about at 9 o'clock. So that's right here on the clock. That's 9 o'clock. Clock, circle of fourths. So that's A, right? A has 3 sharps. So now instead of using our oof, we're using our oos, our order of sharps. You'll notice that they're, like I said, not in the same order. So let's kind of figure that out. If we have 3 sharps, that means we're using our first 3 sharps of our oof, or our oos, rather, our order of sharps. So that's going to be F, C, and G. Let's not move that around. F, C, G. That means those 3 notes, instead of being just F, C, G, that's going to be F sharp, C sharp, and G sharp. So whenever we get to those, we'll want to make those sharp. So if we're looking A, let's remember those three notes. So let's start from the beginning. A, B, C sharp, that was one of our three sharps. D, E, F sharp, G sharp, and A. That's how those are formed. So in our scale, that's how that works out. We have those three sharps, and they'll work like that every time we're talking about a major scale. And that'll stay true for the whole circle here. All wherever it has a flat or a sharp, that'll remain true for all of these. Alright, so before we move on to our assignment sheet, take a look at the bottom of our circle of fourths here. You'll notice that, like I said earlier, I said we'd go over this, that some of them are kind of mixed up. Kind of put together, right? That way we can have 12. The thing about these is that a D flat and a C sharp, they're actually, if you're just listening to them, the same exact thing. Let's look at our keyboard a second. So we have D right here, right? D flat just means we're lowering it to here. C sharp means we're raising it up a half step, right? So it's going to be right here. So it's going to be right in the middle between C and D. That's D flat or C sharp. So because they're the same key on here, they are actually going to be the same spot here as well. Let's try out G flat and F sharp. G flat right here, F sharp up here. So they share the same key. I'm going to guarantee you that C flat and B are the same thing. This is a little bit tricky though. So C flat, there's not one of these here, right? But we still need to go down one note. The closest note, that's B, right? So C flat and B are the same exact thing. They all sound the exact same. Just be careful though. When you have those, I'm trying to pull it up here successfully. D flat, since it has a flat in here, it's going to go with the flats. G flat has a flat, it's going to go with the flats. C flat has a flat, so it has 7 flats here. The only weird one in here, since C sharp goes with the sharps and F sharp goes with the sharps, is B. B goes with 5 sharps, so make sure you take note of that there. Alright? So just be really careful with that. Alright, let's go to our assignment sheet now. Wrong one. Yeah, so we have this pulled up now. Our assignment sheet, and let's take a look at it. If you look at the top, you'll notice that the first one's already done. It's our B flat scale that we've gone over quite a few times now today already. We have B flat, C, D, E flat, F, G, A, B flat. So since you know that already, you know how to play that, you know how that works, that should be rather comfortable. That's why I wrote it out for you and used it as an example here. Your assignment is going to be to spell out all the scales just like this one, all the way down. Now it looks like a lot, but in reality, it's actually pretty easy now that we've kind of gone over the information. And I'll still help you along here so that way we can make sure that we get all the way to the end with as little questions as possible. So let me give you a few more tricks and tips to help you get you through the rest of these. You'll notice that the B flat scale we use every different letter one time except for the note that we start with, and that's used twice, right? B flat and B flat. In a scale, you will start and you will end with the same note, right? So that's an easy one. You can do all these once you figure them out, and why I wrote them down here like that. They start and end on the same ones, right? So you kind of have to figure out what note they start on. Now you're like, how do I do that? If you haven't figured that out already, over here I gave you all the different sharps, flats, all that stuff, right? With 2 flats, with B flat, let's go look at our circle of fourths really quick. 2 flats, that's B flat. It correlates right here. So if we go to our next one, 0 sharps and 0 flats, what is that one? Give you a second. Where is 0 sharps and 0 flats in the circle of fourths? It's going to be right here. it's going to be C. See how it's right at the top here, 0 flats, 0 sharps, right here. So your first thing you're going to write on here is going to be C. And then the same as the last note here, C. Alright, so you got that down. And then after that, after you have your first note down, what you're going to do next is actually pretty easy. You're going to go up your musical alphabet and use every single letter. And if you do it right, you should end right back up where you started. So C, D, E, F, G, and remember, G goes back to A. We don't do H. H is not here. So A, B, C. All right, 8 spaces. That should fill out just right. C, E, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Now, since there are 0 sharps and 0 flats in that, we don't have to worry about it because we don't have to think about whether there's sharps and flats because there's nothing in it. We don't need to go back and change anything. Now, if it said we had 3 flats in there, then we would take a look at our oof here. And if we said flats, we would go B, E, A. And then when we wrote it out, we would have C, D, E flat, that's one of our 3 there, F, G, A flat, B flat, and C. Now that's not how this one quite works out, but that's essentially how it would work with the rest of these. So try to figure some of those out here in just a minute. We're going to go over a couple more things like how we're going to do the bottom ones. So make sure here that you find these on the circle of fourths. Going down to the bottom half here, you'll see down here on the bottom, number 9. Alright, yeah, so number 9 here. Sorry, my computer is not wanting to work. There you go. This one is a bit different. I already told you that we have notes, but there's nothing written out here, right? So you'll need to fill these in along with the rest of this. So what is our starting note here? D, right? So let's go back. Where is D on this circle of fourths? Take a minute to find it. Yeah, so D is going to be right here, and it says 2 sharps. So you're going to take this, D, 2 sharps, and you're going to write 2 sharps right here. And that'll give you the key signature. The key signature just is basically 3 flats, 6 sharps. It's whatever this is over here that tells you how many of what you have. So that's the key signature. That's going to be 2 sharps for D. So, like I said, 2 sharps. So let's look at our oos, our order sharps. We have F and C. Now before we get to that, in our thing, we're going to write, remember, we want to use every letter in the alphabet. D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D. So you'll fill that out first. And then, back to oos, we have just 2. So F and C, those are your first 2. Never go out of order. And then you'll fill that back in. D, E, F sharp, that was one of your sharps. G, A, B, C sharp, that was your other sharp. And then D. And that's how you fill all these in. So you'll find how many sharps or flats does A flat have, how many sharps or flats does G flat have, and all the way down. So that's how you're going to do that. But before you get to that, I'll give you, after this, the rest of the class to finish it up. But we have a couple more things to answer before we go. So why is it called the circle of fourths? Well, before we go, let's look at our B flat scale here. What is the 4th note of your B flat scale? Well, let's count it. B flat, C, D, E flat. Wow, it's the 4th note. Crazy. Let's go look at our circle of fourths. So B flat, E flat. B flat, the 4th note of B flat is E flat, and wow, it's the next one. Same thing in the E flat scale. E flat, F, G, A flat. A flat's the 4th note of E flat. So it's the next one here. That's why it's a circle of fourths. It goes all the way around like this. Coincidentally, if you went in the other way, you could have the circle of fifths, where it's the fifth note instead of the fourth, but it just kind of reverses it. Alright, so that's why it is the circle of fourths. So, best of luck to you. Do what you can on this. I want some time of doing this quietly, and then if you have questions, either email me if you have them, talk to me if I'm there, or if you need to ask one of your neighbors who maybe they're getting it, see if you can do that and make sure we're staying on task and getting this done so that way we can look at it next time we are in class. So, like I said, if you have any questions with that, feel free to email me, but if not, we'll just discuss this next time and do a little bit more with it. All right, that's all I have. Bye.